I've already filmed the review for patch 1.1 and 1.2, but as soon as 1.3 came out, I thought that that was a disaster class and it had me scrapping whatever I want to say because I feel that it turns all the things that I prepared for irrelevant. So I'm refilming a review again and doing it here together with my chatters on stream, and we're just gonna talk about how we feel towards Endfield. So this isn't just going to be specific to the things that happen across the patches, but I think this is just the general state of what Endfield is going through right now, okay? So I'm just gonna start off by mentioning what I think Endfield is doing really right, because personally, my stance of the game is that this game is a game that I want to support. I think it's doing a good job on many fronts. It's got the best world design, right? It's got the best aesthetic appeal, the characters are designed really well, and I know that a lot of people are going to contest that maybe the characters aren't too great, but I have the biggest happiness in playing Endfield versus the other gacha games for my own personal reason, that is, these characters are very fluid for me to use. The reason why I do not enjoy the other games is because whenever they release a new character, it's very clear cut that they have this character. You should pull for this character because it works for some of your other existing units, it works with some of the incoming units, and get ready for it to power creep someone, because if you don't own this character, you're gonna feel like you're worse off than other people. But the thing is that with the way that Endfield has released the new characters, I don't really feel that way, because I do think that they've done a good job in terms of not just making it such that the game is all about mono element, right? Like for instance, when they released the character of Tang Tang, yes, she is a cryo inflictor, but the thing is that the ability for you to make hybrid teams in this game is so wow, not just across the art elements, but also for you to do things like physical and arts. You know, with the likes of Rossi and also future characters that are to be released, it's so fun to be able to see how you can create multiple different teams in order to clear various game modes. None of the teams in this game feels like the forced. Some people might assume and claim that this is the best team in the game, this is the best gear set that you can use, but honestly speaking, with the way that they designed the game, it's so easy for you to just figure out that other people might be more suitable in certain Umbral Monument stages. I've done a lot of funky things in my own Umbral Monument stage, like using Levantine without a Heat Inflictor, using Yvonne not with a Cryo team but with a Nature team instead. Like, all those things are able for you to see. And with the incoming contingency contract that is about to arrive, you're gonna see even more wilder teams. Not the typical meta squad that all the YouTubers are praising, you gotta use this team, you gotta use this gear set. Things are about to change. Of course, that's not gonna happen on low risk, but for people who want to chase the game in terms of the challenge, the difficulty, you're gonna realize that very non-traditional teams are probably gonna work much better when playing something like contingency contract. So that is something that I'm so excited about with this game state. That the foundation of this game, again, I also didn't bring up the audio design of this game being fantastic as well. The base of this game has always looked really good. It's the reason why I was impressed with this game from the very start of 1.0, that no matter if the content feels weak, the story is not so good and whatnot, at the very least, I feel that this game can go far if they know what they are doing with the game. But let's just be real about this and say it straight. It doesn't feel like they understand what they're doing with the game. I mean, the way that they've been releasing the content patches and the way they've been marketing the game, it's all over the place. It's a mess. Look at the gacha banner schedule. It's random, right? We started out with a 17-day weird number, and then it went into Fang Yi with a 35-day. Now we've gone into 21 days, which is pretty standardized across all the gacha games. Looks like they're experimenting, they're trying to figure out what's best for the game. Good for them. But even when it comes to like the way that they market the game as well, on one hand, they decided, okay, certain things will go into a live stream format where we have people watching live all together, and then other times we're gonna get it into a video form so that people just watch it whenever they want. And then, if not, let's just not even put it on our official channel. Let's put our live streams into IGN, where definitely people will be so happy to be watching it on a completely different platform. For some reason, we decided that it's important to tease about 1.4, and again, instead of putting it on the official channel, let's ship it to IGN first, and then later on, 2 days later, we'll get it on official channel. The thing is that I understand that they want to get a bigger audience, probably because they want to hope that more people will be looking at the game, trying the game, but honestly speaking, I don't think the marketing of the game is really the issue here. I think the issue is what's going on in-game, and that is the content right now in the game is not satisfying a lot of people enough. And I understand that some of you are okay with the content, but I just need you to be a little bit more open to realize that people aren't happy with the way the Endfield is doing, and let's see why that is so. instead of going to every nitty-gritty details on everything that is wrong with Endfield, I think there's a very easy word that can summarize what is the thing that they're doing so poorly at, and that is pace. The pace of this game is all over the place in terms of like the way they release characters, the way they release game content, the way that they pace their stories. If we take a look at 1.2 and how we had the big story fight in the Wuling city, that one was cool. The Fangi storyline was one of the greatest that I've ever seen. It was a great visual experience. They have a lot of cool little elements that they decided to play involved, and I think those are great. But the thing that they didn't do a good job was what happens after you've done that main story. Because the side events that you had to do wasn't great at all, right? You had the cleaning event, you had the event where you had to feed some food, you still had survival training where you just throw random bombs at enemies, and then later on you wait a whole bunch of weeks to get into this area called the test area, which is a beautiful map for you to witness. But the problem with the test area is that it's not very enticing of a storyline. It feels pretty kiddish for me to follow around some floaty items, to go place to place, to see a pillar. Instead of it feeling like a story, it feels like I've just gone to just a excursion trip in order to just learn about a world, but it doesn't really add much in terms of the world building or learning about specific characters. Then that's when we got the notice that we're gonna get the live stream for 1.3, 1.3 patch got released. We all got really excited to see Overlevelled, where they basically teased to us that they're gonna talk about the legend of the Chi Xiao. Arknights fans all love about this, right? We'd like to see the whole Chen sword having more significance, more backstory, why does it exist, and hopefully Endfield will have a little bit of that tie-in. But turns out when you play the entirety of 1.3, you get nothing. All you do is you walk around the world. Again, it feels like a museum visit. I'm just going to see these things. Oh, there's monkeys, there's bananas, some rocks falling down, a little bit of a gamey fight kind of experience. You get into the final ending, you hope to read some good books, nothing is there. It doesn't add to your experience, it doesn't tell you more about who Chen is as a person, it doesn't tell you more about Endmain, it doesn't tell you anything about Enfield, it doesn't tell you anything about Arknights. What is 1.3 about? You've basically just gone from what feels like a filler story in the second half of 1.2, you waited so long to get into 1.3 to only just see that it's another filler side story. And some of you might say, hey chill, it's just a side story. Have you seen AK side stories and how well written they can be? How much of an enjoyment, how much characterization and laughter and sadness you can get from reading those stories? And this story, I feel none of that. I feel sad having to waste my time to read that story. 1.3 may have been an overhyped patch, and that's because a lot of people are talking about it in the form of contingency contract. Where's contingency contract? Released 2 weeks after the patch is out, after people have sat through what is probably one of the worst stories that they had to sit through, and then they need to wait till then. Like, some people are gonna give up by then before they even try contingency contract. And here's the thing, if you're a defendant of the recent stories and you think it was great and whatnot, I ask of you, can you recount for me what happened in test area and what happened in Overlevelled? Because maybe you're really good, maybe you actually remember, but the fact that you don't remember goes to say that it just doesn't hit any of us. There is no actual memorable impact, there's no emotional impact, it was just a story. It was just something to sit through for an hour or two, and then you go about going back to your daily grind and then seeing how there's still nothing to do in this game. This is directed to the people who are currently still playing Endfield. And there's a huge likelihood that you currently have two teams full of level 90 characters, already owning masteries, already got max trust, perfect essence, all across the board. You have already full built so many of your characters that you may not have had in the other games. But again, I don't have a certainty that this is exactly what they wanted when the game launched, and I feel like this is more so in response to community feedback. And as a result, it doesn't pace with what they've already designed for the game. Like for instance, with all the crisis drills and whatnot where they designed the bosses at level 90, I don't think they were anticipating for people to already have full built teams in order to try to smash those stages, because it will make the stages feel very easy to play. Instead, they were probably expecting lower level builds, because again, that would have been the pace of the game, and then people can see more of the movesets, people will be spending more time in order to play those higher stages. But as a result of everyone just speed building, with things like even the world level being decreased on the first patch, now everything in the game just has a weird pace. Everyone is over leveled for every type of content in the game, including all the Umbral Monument stages, and it just feels like there's no place to test your squad, there's no place to make you feel like I'm being pressured by the game. When building becomes so fast in this game now it just becomes a strange problem of like, okay, what am I logging in daily for to farm? I guess I'm holding materials now to build even more future teams and future characters, but that's kind of it. You don't really feel a sense of purpose of why you are playing the game, except on the hopium that something good is going to happen for the game. That is literally what's keeping all the existing player here. But that amount of hope that you have for the developers, not everyone has this. Other people who are already bored and already seeing how this game isn't fitting for them, they're already gonna hop onto other games. Might not be gacha games, could be other things that they love, but that's the point. Endfield is so awkward with their pacing of everything that everyone's just confused what they are supposed to look forward to, and then it just kills all the hype. From patch 1.0, where they did so many offline events across multiple different countries, they did so much advertisement, got all the sponsored content creators, huge names playing it, not just even that patch, but even coming into patch 1.1, 1.2, so much marketing, and then the whole IGN involvement as well. I don't think it's a bad thing that they did this marketing stuff, because you can clearly see they do hope that their game can reach a wider audience, and rightfully so. There's so much hard work that is being done by their artists, by the game developers, in terms of designing, again, the world, the enemies, the art, the characters, but yet they have some areas of the game that they are just not working on from patch to patch that is really killing the delivery of the game. Not giving any replayable content, not giving any challenging or endgame content in time, and then the story really being so dissatisfying to the point that it just kind of ruins the hard work of certain other teams that have outperformed themselves. By being so slow to work on what people are seeing as the flaws of the game, whether with regards to the gameplay or the story, it's just giving people less and less patience, and people fall off the game. There are basically people out there who's saying that they've spent thousands of dollars on this game and they've already stopped spending. They're just gonna wait and come back when the game actually does better again, and maybe they'll consider it. But when is that gonna happen? Is that gonna be after we're fully done with this Wuling patch? Which, by the way, we've been stuck in this Wuling patch for a very long time. And here's the thing, I love games portraying stories of China, and the thing is, I think this game has done the best job across all the other games. But we have been here for really long, and the fact that I've mentioned Test Area and Sword Vault Dale being so dissatisfying in terms of delivering anything impactful to us, it just makes me want to get out of this place. I know that AK can be pretty good at delivering their designs of multiple nations, but apparently, as in an interview, they stated that they're going to stay in Wuling for the entire year. I don't know if I'm okay to wait for an entire year anymore. I just want to see how they can portray the other regions, the other cultures, show the interactions of the various characters out there. But yet, I just have to hope that when they go into 1.4 and 1.5, please give me a story that feels bearable, or at least something that can make me smile and read, well, instead of just making me sad that I'm spending another 2 hours again. Say it forth as well, when we talk about the games being very samey with the other big titles also, the formulas that they use to design the stories turns me off quite a bit, and I think this is especially for the fact that we come from AK. The thing is, they didn't have to follow the other games, they could have just learned from AK, and it's not hard to do. That is, can I stop having Endmin in the story? I mean this seriously. Like, I love Endmin, but I want to see Endmin being developed. But to me, the way I enjoy a lot of the stories that occurs in the Arknights universe is I didn't need Doctor to always be there. Can we just have character stories where I just run that character itself, play through some flashback of what they are, or even in the main story itself, I don't need the same assistants to always follow me like Chen and Perlika. Maybe even if there's no Endmin, just give me a different perspective, let people have their own conversations instead of always having Endmin over there as like the sole god watching over everyone and eavesdropping on every conversation that you can imagine. Like, I don't need that feeling where I'm a self-insert all the time. You know, I want to enjoy stories for each of their own character's personality, and we're not getting that even up till now. There are attempts at that from 1.1, 1.2, where you have the whole camera switch into Fang Yi and Tang Tang. I love that. Every time they did that, I was basically exclaiming like, yes, they've done it! Now give me a whole story about that. Now, the quick switch of POV isn't exactly a solution to just fix the entirety of the story and make it 10 times better, because at the end of the day though, even if they have admin or not, the quality of writing right now just isn't that great. I need the stories to have, again, the good build-up of like, not just take me on a ride, and instead, Can you let me feel like there's a conflict, there's something that I'm trying to solve, there's something that is worthwhile for me to be reading, a character that I get to learn who they are. There's no tragedy, there's no suspense. It's all very simplistic right now. That just makes me less and less interested to see what the next story is going to be about. There's a final fix that I really wish for them to do, because I do think that they are well aware this is a strong point of the game. Players are also pointing it out. That is, we are playing Endfield because we like the factory of the game. Some people are only playing Endfield for the story because you're an AK fan. All you care about is, are they ever going to deliver a good writing? Other people are interested in the fact that this is a free-to-play game. You get to experience factory simulation, and they're so excited to see with every patch what things they will do to the factory. But the biggest issue with the factory is it's not replayable. It's limited. Once you're done, you've created the formulas needed to feed to the outpost, you'll never touch it again. You want to customize, you want to decorate it. There isn't really that much of that within this game. And that is a little bit counter to what factory games are on the other side of things, because if you look at the paid games for factory, like Kerbal Space Program, Factorial, and all that sort of stuff, it's always games that give you giant templates of free space, lots of expansions, lots of ways for you to build and create big pipelines. But Enfield's space is so limited, and once you're done, it's like over. You don't have to play with the factory anymore. And that isn't very enjoyable. So they did do an AIC related event where they introduced a brand new limited time formula, but the thing that pisses people off is it makes you deconstruct the base, place in a new formula sheet, and then at the end of the event, you gotta take it all out again and put back in the old formula. Rebuilding the base isn't very enjoyable on all types of players, even for factory lovers, because it's like you've already done the hard work. You kind of wish that you have a different space in order to cater to this brand new formula. So the trouble now is, can they make this whole factory thing a little bit more sandboxy in maybe a whole other game mode, so that people who are looking forward to just this aspect of the game itself can find a reason to always be logging in and cater to that brand new sort of playstyle that they can enjoy. This is going to take some time. I don't expect it to be immediate, but it is a ticking clock that they have to fix this as soon as possible. Let me just do a big closing over here. That is, Endfield is a fantastic game, or at least I can see that it can get there, but it's just not there yet. Even if people tell me, hey, you are just hating on Endfield, you should be saying all the good stuff that Endfield is doing. Hey, I want to, but do you have the balls to say that there is enough evidence right now to prove that Endfield is doing an amazing job? Because I don't think that they are. We all wouldn't have to be in this space, wouldn't have to be talking like this if Endfield just did a good job from the very front. Even if people were to say that, hey, all gacha games release really poorly when they first do it in the first year. AK wasn't good within the first year as well. Yeah, but how about Hypergrave has already done AK, has done 7 years worth of experience, learn to figure out how to do things a little bit quickly on this brand new game so that they don't have such a lackluster downfall and instead need to work so hard to bring the game up again and regain momentum. All the marketing, as I said just now, it's like doing reverse hype. You know, people have been looking forward to such a good game, but now the current game state is there's nothing much that is really worth to point out over here. So that, I think, is the core issue of Endfield. The pace is all over the place. I don't expect this to be immediately fixed. We all know this. If you have the patience to wait until the next patch, that's great. I'm with you. I have the patience. But you need to be aware, the people who's complaining about this game, the people who's saying, I'm done, I'm tired of this game, they have their own place, they have their own say as well. If that's how they're feeling, there's nothing wrong with them. You know, that's just how the game is. It needs to work harder in order to retake all these players back again. It is very likely that whatever the Endfield has planned in terms of the main content-wise for this year has all been set in stone. That is, everything about the Wuling story, everything about the little side events that they get to play, I think all of that are things that they can't change anymore. So if people are saying that it's very dry, it's very boring, expect that to continue later on. I think it really just needs to take into the next giant region that they do, that is like a 2.0, for them to then have a drastic change. All the survey feedback, all the stuff that you've been asking them for them to do, these things just cannot come right after. Things like small QLs, sure, they can, but we're just gonna have to wait for months ahead. So yeah, I genuinely just going into the next few patches without much expectations on my mind anymore, and if they impress me, sure, good. But hopefully I can feel a giant change, because if not, I myself can see myself out of this game. But I'll still play AK, so that's a good thing. See you guys, bye bye.